Hello and welcome back to the BNSF Birdwood subdivision, and we're finally starting work on scenery on the bridge section as promised. So let's have a look and see what we're up to. Today we're going to be putting our brown paper over the cardboard strips and covering it with some Sculpt. So we're going to do this bit today, and normally on the other one, first one, I went over like that and I thought I'd fold it, and that's a crappy idea. I'll do it like when I use the plaster cloth, and I shall tuck it in down there, and then we can fill that in and build that up if we want to. So let's have a go with this side. Right. So the other thing, apart from, at least with plaster cloth, the whole lot sticks sort of in one go. But with, of course, the hot glue gun, the whole surface doesn't stick, only bits where you put the glue, which isn't a big deal, because obviously when the Sculpt it, or sculptamold, whatever you want to call it, goes on there, that hardens everything up. But I do like the plaster cloth for that reason, because you can push it down and it will stick exactly everywhere, pretty much. But anyway, I'm reasonably happy with the other side, how the other side turned out. So we'll see how this goes. This, of course, is infinitely cheaper than plaster cloth, but I think there'd be some areas where I would rather use plaster cloth than cardboard, especially in areas where I think you need a bit more strength. Oh, now it's just going a bit pear-shaped here. What's going on there? And of course, with the plaster cloth, wherever you push it, it's going to stick. But there's big places in here where this isn't stuck, so then you're relying on the, you can see down here, that's not stuck there. You're relying on the, where are we? I do like this little hot glue gun with the metal tip. So you're relying on the plaster to keep everything in check. Whereas with if you use plaster cloth here, you're not relying on the top coat of Sculpt to keep everything in check. But anyway, horses for courses. Right, we've got our next bit here. Let's do a rough sort of measurement. Let's do a bit of a line around there, so I can see that. Right, this little bit done here. Now I guess the one thing with the paper is you can pretty much go over it with the sculptamold straight away, or unlike the plaster cloth. That's what I'm trying to say. Unlike the plaster cloth, it needs time to dry, obviously. But the only trouble with doing it this way is you've got to get in. You can't just put a whole lot of hot glue everywhere and then go and put it on, because by the time you fluff around, the hot glue is dry. It doesn't take. And I've got a slow dry gel glue. Oh, look out! We have our gen sets coming, cleaning some hidden tracking. Ow, ow, ow. See, that's a problem with that, but we can fill that with sculptamold, that's all right. But this little doobie here, which is good, I can get in there and press that down. So I think it has its advantages and disadvantages. For both. So the hot glue that I use has a, I think it's 30-second drying time, thereabouts. So it is good. You can move it a little bit, but not much. Not much. It's you see under here isn't glued now. This is the problem. If you're using plaster cloth, that would all sit and be glued. I guess you could slice it, put a cut in there, and put some glue on there. But anyway, it's all going to be plastered over anyway. So we'll finish this little bit and we'll see what it looks like. Now, one good thing about the plaster cloth is you can move it around and fix stuff like this, but with this, once again, you have to move reasonably quickly because this hot glue is going off, unlike the plaster where you get, you know, at least half an hour wiggle room time. The old hot glue doesn't give you that. So I get about probably 20 seconds maybe if you're lucky. But anyway, it's a bit of a learning curve. Well, talk about what a difference a day makes. Just about an hour's work, and this has really transformed this area here. And now there's you can see here where this is not level with this, but I didn't worry about trying to fix that because that can be, I can fill that with a rock or something in there, a bit of, you know, make it up as you go along. And I think maybe the plaster cloth would be better for bigger areas like this as it's more sturdy. But anyway, I'll give the paper a go and see. Now, what I have forgot to do is to put some reinforcing tabs across here that help keep everything a bit stronger and in line. Yeah. The trap cleaning boys are coming back. This old Roco track car, cleaning car with obviously a rag with inox and not with the abrasive pad that's normally on it. It would be at least 30 years old. I'll have to upgrade it one day. And these two gensets were actually bought, for newer viewers, were actually bought from Tehachapi Trains when I was there in 2015. The train shop's closed now. It was in its last year or so of operation when I was there. Good friend of Long Shadows Bob, who showed me around Tehachapi. And I bought both of those locos from Tehachapi model trains, the two gensets. So there you go. Right, so we've got a little indentation here. It's hard to see on the camera, being two-dimensional, but we'll put this little bit in here, and you can see that it sits in there, and that'll be a great spot for a rock to, like a boulder, you know, to sit in there. But there is quite a hole here, probably about 20 mil. That's 1 inch Canadian. Sort of, ow, shit, that's hot. That's hence the term hot glue gun. I wonder why they use that term. Anyway. Now, you know, you could use, oh, look at that. There you go. You could use PVA glue to glue this paper on. I was just thinking of that as well. And that would give you a lot more wiggle room time, wouldn't it? The only downside to using PVA glue is that it takes longer to dry and it's a bit messier. But yes and no. Well, how about that? Just, 2 hours work. And the paper, I can fill that little bit in there, but okay. Makes a huge difference. And of course, there's not the right abutments here. This is all coming out, remember. So it's purely practice for the new layout and to try this paper idea as opposed to the plaster cloth. And plus, this is free. So we'll have some lunch and we'll come back and we'll get some sculptamold on it, or as we call it down here, sculpt it, and we'll see what happens. So we're putting on some sculpt it. It's called Sculpt It in Australia. I don't know who stole it, but anyway. Now, some of this cardboard, or should I say paper, it's got some really good forms in it already as far as rocks when you crunch it over, and almost seems a shame to cover some of it up. But anyway, we have to do that. So the idea is then to obviously cast or shape the rocks in the plaster. But this is just a covering to get it some support. But you could, and I think I've seen guys do it, actually put plaster on here straight away, well, and literally carve the rocks in as you go. That's probably more for the advanced scenic guy or girl. And of course we've got to get reasonable coverage on this because we're using it because we haven't put the plaster cloth down. That's the other thing too. Because we're using this as a sort of 2-in-1 thing, as I go in front of the camera there, we're using this, you know, not only as the terrain cover but also the reinforcement of the paper. And those of you that have watched a few of my scenery videos, what's our most valuable tool? Yes, I can hear some of you. The old wet finger. Oh yeah. It can work magic. On and off the layout. There we go. I'll just get a rag and clean that up. Well, I think that'll do us for one day. We'll finish covering this section in sculptamold and move across the tunnel and start on some rock carving. In our next video, look forward to some more cardboard gluing. We'll be finishing that and getting into some rock carving with Sculpt It. Well, I think that'll do us for today. That's enough gluing cardboard for one day. So join us for our next video when we carve some rocks and do some more work here and do some very interesting work just here out of frame. So join us for the next video in about a week's time. Thanks for watching. Hooroo for now. Bye-bye.